The arena lights dimmed to a single spotlight, and in that moment, every soul in the building understood they were about to witness something that transcended sport. This wasn't just another fight. This was mythology brought to life. I remember standing ringside that night, my press credential hanging heavy around my neck, thinking about how we'd gotten here. Two men, separated by generations, by continents, by entire philosophies of combat, were about to answer a question that fight fans had whispered in gyms and forums for years. The crowd's murmur built like distant thunder, and I could feel the electricity crackling through the air. Lateef Crowder emerged first, and the building erupted. The Brazilian moved like water given human form, his capoeira roots visible in every flowing step. At 6 feet tall and weighing in at a lean 175 pounds, Crowder represented the new era of martial arts. This was a man who'd made his name in stunts and choreography, sure, but anyone who'd seen him move understood that the artistry masked genuine, terrifying capability. His body was a weapon forged through endless repetition of movements that most people couldn't even comprehend, let alone execute. The jinga, that constant swaying motion fundamental to capoeira, made him look like he was already fighting an invisible opponent. His legs whipped through the air in practice kicks that could decapitate a lesser man, and his hands traced defensive patterns that seemed to defy physics. Crowder's eyes scanned the arena with the focused intensity of a predator. This wasn't his first rodeo. The man had trained under some of Brazil's most fearsome capoeira masters, earned his cordon in legitimate lineages that traced back generations. But beyond the traditional art, he'd cross-trained extensively. Muay Thai had sharpened his already devastating kicks. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu had filled the gaps in his ground game. This was modern martial arts incarnate, a synthesis of styles that flowed together seamlessly because they were filtered through the lens of capoeira's fundamental principle: constant, unpredictable motion. Then Bolo Yeung entered, and time itself seemed to pause. At 75 years old, the Chinese legend carried himself with the gravitas of a man who'd forgotten more about fighting than most people would ever learn. The bodybuilder's physique that had made him famous in his youth had weathered into something more dangerous, more refined. 220 pounds of coiled power moving with the measured pace of someone who'd spent 5 decades perfecting the art of destruction. Yeung's face remained impassive, carved from granite, his eyes tracking Crowder with the patience of a snake watching a mongoose. This was a man who trained alongside Bruce Lee, who'd made grown men weep in the training halls of Hong Kong, who'd built his reputation not on flash, but on fundamental, devastating effectiveness. Yeung's background read like a martial arts scripture. Traditional Chinese kung fu forms the foundation, but his specialty was something far more direct. He'd spent years in full-contact competitions when kung fu actually meant something beyond forms and demonstrations. His strikes carried the weight of proper body mechanics, decades of conditioning that had turned his fists into hammers and his body into armor. Age might have slowed him fractionally, but it had also taught him economy of motion, the brutal efficiency that only comes from a lifetime of combat. The arena went dark except for a single spotlight, and everyone knew history was about to unfold. Two fighters from different worlds, separated by generations and continents, were finally answering the question fans had debated in gyms and forums for years. I stood ringside, press credential heavy around my neck, feeling electricity crackle through the air. Lateef Crowder emerged first, and the building erupted. 6 feet of flowing Brazilian power at 170,000 pounds. His capoeira background made him look like water given human form. Every movement was unpredictable, dangerous, beautiful. This wasn't just a stunt performer or choreographer. This was a man who'd earned his cordon under Brazil's most fearsome masters, then sharpened those skills with Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He represented modern martial arts at its finest, a synthesis of styles filtered through capoeira's fundamental principle: constant, unpredictable motion. Then Bolo Yeung entered, and time itself seemed to pause. At 75 years old and 220 pounds, the Chinese legend moved with the measured pace of someone who'd forgotten more about fighting than most would ever learn. His face was carved from granite, impassive, his eyes tracking Crowder with snake-like patience. He trained alongside Bruce Lee, dominated full-contact competitions when Kung Fu actually meant something, and built his reputation not on flash, but on devastating effectiveness. 5 decades of combat wisdom lived in every step. The bell rang and Crowder exploded into motion, his distinctive bounce making timing nearly impossible. He feinted low, snapped a question-mark kick toward Yeung's head, but the old master wasn't there anymore. A straight punch cut through space where Crowder's jaw had been a heartbeat earlier. The crowd roared. The first round played out like a chess match orchestrated by lunatics. Crowder's footwork created impossible angles, his kicks coming from directions that defied geometry. But Yeung absorbed everything, shifted his stance slightly, and kept pressing forward. His defense was economical, brutal, and his body shots made Crowder's face show surprise. These weren't old man punches, these were sledgehammers wrapped in flesh. Round 2 saw Crowder unleash his acrobatic arsenal in earnest. Cartwheel kicks caught Yeung's arm, forcing a flicker of respect from the older fighter. But the Chinese master began timing the rhythm, checking kicks with sickening impacts, intercepting spins with perfectly placed palm strikes. The adaptation was masterful. By round 3, Crowder's left leg was compromised, but his spirit burned brighter. He mixed lightning-fast punching combinations with devastating roundhouse kicks that finally made Yeung grimace. The old master responded by walking through strikes to get inside, landing surgical body shots on previous injuries. Like a shark smelling blood, he pressed the attack. Round 4 brought the critical turning point. After Crowder's highlight reel combinations opened a cut above Yeung's eye, the legend did something unforgettable. He stopped moving backward, planted his feet, and invited the storm. When Crowder launched a jumping spin kick, Yeung caught the leg mid-flight. The takedown rattled the cage, and suddenly the Brazilian was defending elbows until the bell saved him. Round 5 opened with both men visibly damaged. Crowder's ribs were discolored, his breathing labored. Yeung's face was a crimson mask from the cut, but his movement remained steady, implacable. They met in the center and the exchange was savage. Crowder's hands were faster, his combinations more creative, but every shot Yeung threw carried bad intentions. Then came the decisive moment. Crowder shot for a takedown, a mistake born of desperation. Yeung sprawled with textbook perfection, his weight crushing down, forcing the Brazilian to defend guillotine attempts and brutal knees to the body. The final rounds told an inevitable story. Crowder's gas tank emptied, his beautiful flowing style running dry, while Yeung kept pressing with relentless pressure and calculated strikes. Round 6 was a coronation. Every time Crowder tried creating distance for a power kick, Yeung was there, smothering the attack, landing return fire that pushed the Brazilian toward the breaking point. A nasty uppercut split Crowder's guard and rocked him visibly. The crowd screamed, sensing the end was near. But Crowder refused to break, kept fighting on heart alone, landing a spinning back fist that clipped Yeung's jaw in the final minute. It wasn't enough. It could never be enough. When the final bell rang, both warriors embraced with genuine respect. Bolo Yeung had won decisively, not through flash, but through timeless fundamentals. He'd weathered the lightning storm of youth and innovation, imposing his will when both men were deep in the hurt. Experience and conditioning had outlasted creativity and speed. The mountain remained standing after the storm cleared, proving that fundamental excellence, maintained over a lifetime, could still triumph in any era.